Hi everyone, Simon for Horoma Studio. Today we're going to have a look at this really interesting interior rendering of a villa in Oman. So, well, in terms of composition, for sure you can already see that the image is quite strong. Like the overall image is nice, there's no doubt about that. The framing is okay, like it's a really simple one-point perspective frontal view of the space. I think it's properly placed. The cropping is not problematic, and the height, like the eye level, is properly chosen, I think, so that's good. Yeah, no, it's nice. In terms of, well, we can go through details first for some reason. There's a couple of things I was wondering. Like, for instance, the thing is like, when an image is, like the concept is that it's going to be perfectly symmetrical, you kind of don't want it to be perfectly symmetrical, which is like what happened here when you change like the balls thing, where actually this one is here. Yeah, I didn't notice that at first. Like this one is here and this one is here, so it's basically flipped like centrally. I would try to create a little bit more variation, because, well, otherwise it gets a little bit too rigid, I think. Same for the pillows. Not even like necessarily changing like them completely, but just make sure that we don't read them as a perfect symmetry, because I think it looks unnatural. Even if you wanted it, like if you were like a guy standing here saying I'm gonna put the pillow perfectly the same, there will always be slight differences. So that's the thing I'm saying. Other small details is that, like, for instance, you have like glare that are not happening in the reflection, which is, I think, is physically wrong. I think it should happen everywhere, if I'm not mistaken. But beside that, I think there's like a, but I think it's just a compression. There's like a weird noise on top, but I don't think it was willingly put there. So let's come to, in terms of color, I think the color schemes is also working properly. We have like this sort of green yellow-ish that works with the brown orange here. So there's nothing, like, I think it works quite well. The accent here with the flowers is fine too, I think. It's, yeah. I think there's a nice balance to the image, so it's quite nice. And there's like, as I just did, it's like this sort of wave with like this part here being a little bit more in the foreground. So it works interestingly. One thing I want to talk about was the lighting. Lighting is a bit, I think there's something, I get the idea, because I guess the idea is to show that you have like a nice homogeneous light inside. The thing is, there's something a bit misleading about, not even misleading, but like stuff that are happening that are not really, I'd say, something you would want to happen. Just one point on the natural light first. I think it looks really nice. We don't really sense it penetrating the space, but I guess it's fine, because I don't think it would penetrate the space much anyway. But the curtain and the way you have like this little bloom works really well, and you do understand that it's like a nice afternoon or whatever, but that there's like an intense light outside, which is good. And even though it's like, and the other thing is like, it's not burnt, you can still read details in it, which is what you want to happen. when you have like that kind of lighting. When it comes to artificial lighting, we basically have these sources here and this big source here. All these guys here are turned off, which is a good idea. One thing I basically don't really like is that we get super hard edges of the, for the, how's it called? Furniture, basically. And even like the weirdest part is that sometimes we get them behind, like from this guy, I guess, but it's like super sharp. So I think there's something like, for instance, this guy, which creates this shadow. Since you have like a multiplicity of lights, you should get a more softer edge, because basically if you have multiple lights in your edges here, it means you have like light coming from different direction. It should have like a sort of fall off, basically. So basically the thing I'm wondering is like how this has been lit in terms of like rendering, or like in the, I think it's done with Horoma. So I wonder if it's like for this one, if it's been like a plane that's just like this, and then it casts a shadow like that. Because there's another thing happening you can see here that is not really nice, because the contrast or the fall off is extremely sharp. You go from like lit area to super dark area in no time. So whereas what you would like to understand, at least that's what I thought, what I would get from that type of lighting, is that it gives like a super soft and warm light. So what I would do is just to rework the lighting the way this one has been modeled, basically, or at least its lighting part, so that you get like a more homogeneous light on this guy. And better, not better, but I mean like softer shadows on the floor. And also I would try to get rid of this little thing. I know it's simple or like small, but they do catch the eye because it's super bright spot in the middle of a super dark area. So, and the thing is that they don't really make sense, because you're like, from this guy, can I really have like that amount of light considering there's like all this here? It probably is, because it's calculated that way, but still it's something you would want to get rid of. And then in terms of like the overall color, one thing is that is a bit misleading is that the glare are super warm, whereas the overall lighting is pretty neutral, which is fine. I mean, like, sorry again. I think it would be weird if it was like too warm, so I would definitely keep it that way. But either the discrepancy needs to be slightly increased if you want this to be warm, or you need them to be more neutral as well. And I think it would be quite nice. One other thing, but I think I mentioned it. I think it's like an issue of overall sharpness, maybe. I think it's really just like the lighting does something weird on this guy here, and it quite catch the attention, I think. So that's the thing I would keep in mind. Beside that, I think the textures are nice and everything is legible properly. There's quite a bit of, yeah, well, it's fine. I was gonna say a bit of mess, but I think it's a big table, so it doesn't really matter. Here, I don't know what this is, but it's fine. Okay, this is the model. But yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, this is really tiny details, but like for instance, there's like the mapping of this sort of, that's the weird thing, is that the variation we have here, we kind of read them in a perfect lines here. So it must mean we have a sort of box mapping happening here, which is not what you want. Or maybe I'm misreading the thing, but either way, we do read like kind of line. So if we manage to get rid of it, that would be nice. I think I don't have much else to say, but overall it's a really, really cool image. It's just really, I think the light intensity and contrast that needs to be refined a little so that it looks a bit more soothing and softer. And once you get that, I think it will be extremely nice. Yeah. So yeah, I'll stop right here. I hope you found the video interesting with the sort of like more thorough analysis of lighting and how to like improve it a little. And I'll see you in the next Teardown. Cheers guys, bye.